Hello everyone, welcome to today's interview with Mr. OnesieBanette for the Pokemon Premier League. I am very humbled to be having this interview with such a legend, someone who I class personally as a brother. Onesie, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's very, very good to be here. Firstly, it's a little bit nostalgic because I was actually in your position last season and I was the one doing a lot of the interviews. It's also a little bit weird as well because we speak to each other on like a daily basis. So very good to be speaking to you again, bro. How are you?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm doing very well. A little nervous to do this, my first venture into it, but we'll see how we get on. And for anyone wondering, I did not fix me to interview Onesie. I had no part. I played no part.
Neither did I.
But I know Onesie very well. But some people watching might not know you very well, Onesie, which is, of course, criminal. Shall we ask you some questions to get to know you a little bit more?
Of course, let's go for it.
Fantastic. So my first question, Onesie, is exactly who are you?
Well, firstly, my name is Alex, aka OnesieBanette. I am a seasoned Draft League veteran. Last season, I did a lot of work in the analyst side for the Pokemon Premier League, and I'm just kind of one of those guys. I'm an actor / singer / general idiot. So, hi, that's me.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you're a very, very talented person, if I may say so myself once. I need to speak English for one. So my next question, how long have you been playing Pokemon for? Draft League specifically. What's your experience with Draft League?
So Draft League specifically, I've probably been playing now for almost 10 years. My first ever Draft League, I know it makes me feel ancient, trust me.
Dinosaurs, man.
Honestly, mate, I feel like a proper dinosaur, but I have been playing ever since the first ever season of the Pokemon Premier League, which I believe was back in 2014. I was, at that time, the coach of Keltadano, I believe. Which was the first ever team I managed, which had absolutely nothing to do with me as a coach. I don't even like the Dano line. I don't know why I chose that as the team name. But yes, that was my first ever one. I've been in multiple leagues throughout the years. I was in TVU, I was in EWT with Automavic, I've been in a couple of seasons of the D-League, and I've been most recently in the PDD and the UNPL. So yeah, I've been playing for quite a while.
Yeah, you've listed off quite a few names then, quite a few leagues.
Quite a few. Man. That's not even half of them, mate.
No, that's very impressive. That's very impressive. Fair play to you. Okay, you've been in the game for quite a while, right? Draft League specifically, but what about Pokemon as a franchise? How long has this franchise been with you for?
Well, my first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Ruby back when I was the tender age of about 7 or 8. My dad gave me a copy of Pokemon Ruby while we were on holiday in Wales. Really not sure why he decided to give me a video game on a family holiday where we're supposed to be spending time together, but basically ever since that day I've been absolutely hooked on the series, kind of fell in love with it, and it's given me so much value since. I say it's one of the best things my dad ever did for me.
No, that's amazing, man. Just like you, my father got me into it, so shout out to the dads. So what is your most notable memory from Pokemon, like in your career from being a Draft League content creator? What's your most notable memory that you could think of?
Well, most recently, which is one of the bigger ones, I managed to get my first ever Generation 9 championship win.
Nice.
I managed to win the PDD, beating Sally Mumble and Gravy on my way to getting myself into the finals. So there were some really tough opponents in that league, and I was very, very happy with how I played. I loved it, and it really kind of reinvigorated my passion for Draft League, made me realise how much I really do still love it. I think before that, finishing third in the second ever season of the Pokemon Premier League was a very big achievement for me because I was still very, very new to it at that time, and I managed to take some very big wins against some really, really good opponents at the time. Wasn't enough to get me over the line as champion, but it basically made it very tight up until the very final game of the season. And if things had gone slightly different, I could have had the win that season. But it went to Shroom Raver. He absolutely deserved it. And I think, yeah, over the years, I've had quite a few victories against some very, very talented people, like Fufu. I've managed to take a victory against him. I think we're 1-1 for games. I've never lost to one of the most prominent players, 6 Foot Hacks. I think I've played him 3 or 4 times. I've never lost to people like Q the Costa Rican, which, quite frankly, is probably going to change this season because he's a cracked player at the moment. But yeah, I've got quite a few decent accolades under my belt. I'm ready to throw up a couple of trees.
Yeah, you've named off some hellish competitors, man. Some really good people. I know myself, Gravy's amazing. Of course, Shroom's got knowledge and so much history. And that leads me to my next question, Ones. Out of all the competitors that are in the league this season, who are you most excited to face?
Okay, so I think I've got two answers to this. First answer is probably got to be Don Fnatic. He's making his return to the Premier League this season, which is absolutely amazing. He's the person that created the Pokemon Premier League, so it's very, very special to have him back playing again, and I get to play him, I believe, week 2. So that's going to be a match to absolutely keep an eye out for. But the other person I'm very much looking forward to taking on is definitely Mountay. Mountay is, for those of you who don't know, people who might be new to the space, he played in the Pokemon Premier League last season and made a very deep playoff run. He basically stormed onto the scene out of nowhere and just won a bunch of championships, like back to back to back. He's an incredible player, and I can't wait to test myself against him.
He just Thanos snapped on the whole community. No, that's crazy, man. That's absolutely insane. So, out of those names, are one of them your main rival, or do you have another main rival? So I know who you're excited to face, but who do you think will be, your Gary Oak, your...
Unfortunately, while I have a bunch of rivals in the Pokemon Premier League, I don't actually play a lot of them, which makes me so sad. My main rival, Mr. Shroomraver himself, I don't actually have a match against him unless we both make it to playoffs. So I will be keeping a very close eye on Shroomraver's result, very much hoping that we both make it to playoffs. And if we do, and we do get matched up against each other, you bet your ass it's going to be a hell of a game. He is my Gary. He is my Silver. He's my rival, baby.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, Shroom is really good. Shroom is very good. Shout out to Shroom. So I've got to ask this question. As you said, you've been in Draft League for quite a while. You've done a lot of battles, battled tons of people. Let's not talk about your strengths. We don't want to give away some cards, but what are you looking to improve on from your past games that you think, that area I could have improved on? What have you focused on as a player?
That's a very good question. So over the years, my reputation in Draft League is basically that I take Pokemon that are really, really crap and make them good. Season 1 of the Pokemon Premier League, I used Lumineon, and it's basically the only time anyone's ever used Lumineon in Draft League, and it put in a hell of a lot of work for me. But my problem is that I do tend to struggle when I use some of the higher tier Pokemon. So some of the most threatening Pokemon in the format, like Quackquaval last season in the UNPL, I ended up only getting 1 kill all season with it, and that thing is an absolute monster. I just couldn't quite get my head around how to use it. I've got a couple of similar threats this season on my draft without giving anything away, but I'm very much hoping to improve my ability to use higher tier Pokemon more effectively. I've had some good success with some higher tiers in the past, but it's always been the lower tiers that brought me a lot of my success. So hopefully we can get some big plays going. No,
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. This next one is a fun question I'm going to ask about battling in general.
Let's go.
So, Rick Astley's no stranger to love Onesie, but you're no stranger to battling, okay? I had to throw that one in, right? You're no stranger to battling, OnesieBanette. So, I've got to ask you, if you can think of one battle, I know you spoke about your career highlights, but if you could think of one battle you've had to partake in that you would say is the best battle you've ever had, the most fun, the most exhilarating, what would that be? And who was it? Oh, okay. Go on then.
So my first one, the obvious answer, is my first ever Draft League game. I played against Shroomraver in the first ever match I played in the format.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of the most back and forth, unconventional games you will ever have in your life. It was a 1-0 victory to Shroomraver, and it only came down to the fact that I didn't put enough speed on a Sylveon and undersped a Mega Gallade by about 1 point. It was so close, and it's what kind of made me fall in love with the format. I remember after the game having a call with Shroom and being like, holy crap, that was the most exhilarating, enjoyable Pokemon match I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
But since then, I could obviously mention a couple of the games in the PDD because, winning a championship is, it's amazing. They were brilliant games. But I think the best game I ever played, let me set the scene. It's PPL Season 3.
Uh-huh.
I am having a torrid season, an awful time. I am 2-5. So I've lost 5 back to back to back. It's awful. And my next game is up against Fufu, Sam himself, who is storming the league at that point. He's 7-0, undefeated. If I lose this game, I'm relegated. It's awful. I put absolutely everything into that game. I had a bunch of people, Ellie, Shroom, Jack, Ryquin at the time, all sat in a call watching me play this game. And I managed to clutch out the clutchest of 1-0 victories. And off the back of that momentum, I managed to keep myself in the division. So that for me, I just remember after that game being like, fuck yes, let's go. Amazing. I was so happy for that.
Wow, onesie doing a onesie, man. What can I say? That's
you know it.
That is you all over, man. That is you all over. That's so dope. It's always a fun one because I'm always, it's quite a dire situation, right? It's not like you're fighting for the crown, but the fact that that's one of your highlights is actually really dope. I really like that. So, one thing I want to talk about, right? Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Solihull Skarmoors. That is your team name for this season, correct?
It is indeed, yes. I am a coach of the Solihull.
You are the coach of the Solihull Skarmoors. First of all, love the name, love the badge. Tell me the story behind why this and not Birmingham Spritzies, if I may mention that.
Well, I was, of course, the coach of the Birmingham Spritzy for a good 5 or 6 years. I am a Birmingham City football fan. They are the football team that I follow, unfortunately. Yourself being a fan of our biggest rivals.
Aston Villa boys, of course. I don't know if that's a thing.
Of course. It probably is a team there somewhere, probably. That's a good one. But yeah, I was a coach of Birmingham Spritzy for years, but I just figured it's Generation 9. I want to make a change. Let's have a new team name that accurately represents where I'm from, where my roots are, and it's a pun on Solihull Moors, which they are the most local team to me. I was born in Solihull. It's a place that I have a lot of my best memories. For example, myself and you, we both went to college there.
Of course.
It's some of the happiest times of my life have been in Solihull, and I figured I wanted to have a team name that would be able to reflect that. So I looked at Solihull. I saw that the team was called Solihull Moors and think, I can make a pun out of that with Solihull Skarmoors. And the best part about it was the Solihull Moors club badge. I don't know if the editors will be able to pop that on screen somewhere, but the Solihull Moors club badge, it has like a bird in the middle of it. And it was just like the perfect shape of a bird to put a Skarmoorie's like face in there. So it just felt like, the whole thing had just aligned perfectly. And it's a logo and a team name that I'm very, very proud of.
Such a good badge, such a good team. I know. I'm excited to see what the Solihull Skarmoors. I remember you sending me the image with the gold star, asking me if I knew what that meant. And I knew what that meant, baby. I knew what that meant. I have 2 more questions, ones, if that's okay. So let's play a game of scenario where you're not in this league. Who would you pick to be the winner of this league? Obviously, if not yourself, who would you put, if you had to put a bet on and you think, you know what, my money's on them, who would you pick?
Okay, that's a very good question. For me, there are 2 main contenders, of course, apart from me, because, I'm just the best ever.
Of course, come
on. My 2 contenders for this league, well, 3 really. Okay, we'll go for 2. So my first pick for potentially being the one that takes the crown would be Addison. I think Addison, I've talked about her a lot in PPL analyst stuff last season and of course on the podcast. She is the queen of Draft League. She is incredible. She makes playoffs consistently every single time, and last season of course was only knocked out by the eventual victor of the PPL, Poki MMD himself. So she's got a point to prove. She's going to come in and hopefully prove me right that she's a pick for the league. But the other one that I have mentioned that I think would be a very, very good shot to take the whole thing would be Mountay. I think he's an incredible player. I'm very much looking forward to playing him. I know exactly what to expect when playing him. High level, very detailed prep, and if he carries on doing what he's done for years, he will take the crown this season. But that doesn't matter, because I'm going to take it anyway.
Because Onesie's there, I can't say we'll say Onesie. I'm sure Onesie can back himself. I can't back anyone, sadly. That must be the rules. So, one last question, my friend. Again, thank you for your time. What message do you want to give the Solihull Scar fans? What do you want to tell them to look out for this season?
Well, first off, thank you very much for supporting me and being as awesome as you are. Every single person who's watched my videos, you're amazing. You know what to expect from me this season. I'm going to be doing some fun things with some less than conventional Pokemon. I am going to do my best to form my playstyle the most effectively I can and show you guys exactly what the Solihull Skarmoors are all about. And hopefully I'll do you all proud this season, and we'll be able to get a second star at the top of my logo.
Yeah, man. Let's see what happens with that second star. I'm excited, and OnesieBanette will be for sure one of the highlights I'm going to be watching out for myself. Call it biased if you want, but that's just honesty, man. Onesie, thank you so much for your time, and just thank you for giving us those stories, man. That was amazing. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for your interview. This was very fun, and I'm looking forward to watching everyone else's interviews.
No worries, I'll send Grave the invoice later. Right, that's been the interview. Peace out and enjoy the content coming up.